So Dr. Abusaleh Shariff, recently Government of India approved FDI, foreign direct investment in retail, and this has, a lot of people are saying is going to affect especially small businesses, and especially Muslims who are self-employed in the small retail sector. What is your take on that?
Kashif, FDI is the long form of FDI is foreign direct investment. So direct investments means the companies and the investors abroad, such as those people who have money to spare to invest in businesses from USA, UK, Europe and other developed countries, and even less developed countries, the richer people can invest. They bring money into India and they invest in businesses. So that is foreign direct investment. And because India is a growing economy, and India is growing at the rate of between 8 to 10% every year, so every year you need 8 to 10% more investment to make the economy grow. So India doesn't have that kind of money. So it is the richer countries who have better savings, and savings which are useful to invest. So that is the reason why we need foreign money. Now the second thing, the FDI means it is just not the money. It is just not the dollars, it is just not the yens or the euros which will come to India. Along with this money, what comes is technology, the technology which we don't have in India. Along with money, what comes is techniques of production.
But we're talking about retail, so I don't know.
Even in retail is a big modern inventory control itself, which is highly complicated, and so those are new to India now. Although we have our own malls and chains in retail, so they are doing some innovation, but a lot more innovation is needed so that we as a country grow for future. Now given all this, now there is a fear that India, more than 80% of people who work in India work as self-employed people. They are not in organized employed services. India is one of the few countries where employment information data is not collected and retained in a format where we can estimate how many people work in what sector, how many people come into labor force every year, how many people have problems sustaining their businesses. We don't have this kind of information. So there is no real-time information on these factors. There are some surveys which happen once in 4 years, once in 5 years, where we get some information as to what are the sectors in which people are employed. And these surveys tell us that about 85% of our workforce are self-employed. I'll give one or two examples of self-employment. For example, a farmer is a self-employed person. An artisan, let's say a carpenter, is a self-employed person. Because a carpenter employs his own self and his own family labor and runs that family business, so he is self-employed. So the organized sector employment is based on modern principles where their labor laws are applied because of the organized sector employment.
Are the small retail shops also considered self-employed?
The small retail shops are also self-employed. So the organized sector means that you need to have access to credit, formal credit, like they can go to banks and get it. So there are two kinds of formal sector jobs. One is the government jobs or corporate sector jobs or private company jobs. Or even if you are a self-employed person, but if you are registered and you provide employment to 4 other people, then you become organized yourselves, even though if you are small. Okay? So these are the broad definitions of organized sector. So our organized sector is small and unorganized, unregistered, self-employed sector is large. Now, as you suggested, we have a lot of retail industry.
Yeah.
Because we are 1.2 billion people, we are spread out in thousands of cities and towns and lakhs of villages. That's where we as Indians live. So we have a very diverse and spread out market. So how do we reach out, taking our important goods and services of daily necessities? How do people access them?
Yeah.
So what happens today is, for example, if you are talking of rural areas, generally rural areas, they grow their own food, they make their own necessary things in the local area, and they are not very well linked to the markets.
Right.
Although a few things like soaps, toothpaste, a few even like shampoos and some tea and biscuits.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things which are basically network through a marketing structure in India.
Right.
So it is very rudimentary market.
I see.
However, the most important thing you have to understand is, where do we grow our essential commodities? We grow in the outbacks of India. We grow in rural areas. We have sugarcane areas where we produce sugar, molasses. We have places where we grow bananas. We have places where we grow rice and wheat. We are all diverse. But where is the market for these commodities? Today there are two kinds of markets. One thing is our urban population is increasing. They are concentrated in urban areas who do not grow food, so they need to buy food from the market. So urban areas are people who are accumulated, or they live in a smaller area, so population density is high. So the only way to reach out to the markets is through an organized trade. Although there are nukkad shops available today, but there are hundreds of very nukkad shops. Those people are making their own money, but they have very serious difficulties in accessing supplies from the rural areas, because a small retailer cannot go to a far off place and bring his bananas for sale.
Right.
So he has. Where will he go to access them? He goes to an agent who is in, let's say, Bombay or Bangalore or Delhi, and he brings from an agent. He's not a farmer, right? He brings from an agent, and that agent will give you a product, and then you bring it and sell it.
But we also have a system of mandis. So every morning they go, a small, shop wala, thela wala, they go and then buy from the mandi.
Yeah. So the mandis do not. The mandi is a middleman. It's a kind of middleman.
Okay. Yeah.
The mandis are managed by the middleman.
Right.
And he is the agent. He is the agent who supplies.
Okay.
So normally what happens is the transaction cost even through mandis increases substantially.
I see.
And these mandis are not regulated.
So in the environment where there is an FDI, how things going to change? You're saying this?
So now FDI, what it does is basically you have to imagine that the whole mandi will be converted into a retail.
I see.
You imagine a mandi.
Okay.
You have fruits, vegetables, you have pags.
So it's like a wholesale market.
So you have a mandi, right?
Yeah.
How open, there is no climate control.
बरसात
आया, गर्मी हुई, आपकी चीजें सड़ गए, गल गए, wastage. You imagine the whole thing, and you know how unhygienic mandi is today, right? You imagine that. So now the FDI what does is it covers, putting walls all around that market. It gives a ceiling. It cleans the whole environment. It arranges things in a very easy manner so that people can go and access it easily. And then, and that is a kind of retail market. Okay, 1 minute. Retail market. And before you enter, they would also display which is the bay area, which is the bay, or which is the counter where what you get. So you have easy, and they also announce the prices right before you get into the market.
Right. Okay.
So now what happens is you think of a mandi. In mandi, as a retailer, I run from one place to another to find out the cheaper.
Right.
And then there is also no gradation of the commodities. So I, as a retailer, has serious difficulties in accessing good products and to give a right price and then to sell it cheaply. But in case of the organized FDI investment, all these things will become transparent. A purchaser, who is a retailer, will have an advance information before coming to the mandi, whether that product is available in the mandi or not.
But that also means a regular customer can also go to this shop, mandi, and buy from there. So what will it not eliminate the retailers, the thela-walas who used to bring grocery to your doorsteps?
So I will come to that point. So the most important thing about the FDI investment is it brings technology to increase the shelf life of the products. Number one. It helps grading the commodities. So what quality, size, gradation, and it gives different prices, and the prices are announced in advance, and it also announces whether the product is available on that particular day or not. So before you leave home, you are assured that you have your product available for you, and sometimes through phone and also internet, you can even book your produce, reserve your produce. Before you reach there, it is packed and kept it for you. So there are so many benefits organized system does it. Right?
Okay.
Now the question is, there are some people say, okay, well, to do this, the prices of those commodities will be very high.
Right.
And that is the one. And because the prices will be high, the prices, the retailer who brings it to the market, the prices will be high again.
Yeah.
So this is a normal. But our research suggests that actually the prices of the same product of the same quality will be 5 to 7% cheaper in a FDI regulated market compared to the normal nukkadwalas. So the reason is about 30 to 35% of our food produce, I'm talking of food here, is wasted normally in our system.
So you're saying it will eliminate inefficiency in the system?
30 to 35% of wastage.
I see.
The moment wastage is eliminated, so the costs will come down.
I see.
So even if there is a cost escalation to put your climate control, to put your technology into it, still you can sell the same product up to 10% cheaper under certain circumstances, but definitely 7%.
What will it do to... So, Dr. Shariff, now that the government has made up their mind that FDI is going to happen, so what will be the impact on Muslims, and also, what can they do to, benefit from this change in policy?
Kashif, one of the salient features of the Indian market has been that it is unorganized. So what that means is there are no regulations. There is no regulation on cost, there is no regulation on pricing, there is no regulation on quality, and generally the contracts of sale and purchase are not very clearly executed. So it is a kind of a highly unorganized and informal sector. So because of that, ultimately there are a lot of transaction costs which increases. What is the transaction cost? कि आपको बिजनेस करने में, आपका लाइसेंस लेने में, आपके you want to buy your products, you want to bring them, transport them, you need to store them, and sometimes because the products are already because of weather conditions not in good shape, so you need to protect them. Finally because of you may lose some of the products, so you need to increase the prices. So there is a huge unorganized issues which increases the final price on which you sell your product. So that is the characteristics of an unorganized economy. Now, by organizing, what is organization means? Organize means you try to reduce costs, you try to reduce the time it takes from the time when you pluck a particular product to the market. Then the transportation is done in a manner that the fruits and vegetables are not they don't go bad, and there are a lot of these benefits which come out of organization. And most important, organization certainty of getting a product at the kind of price which you know in advance that you can get it, so that you can already negotiate with your customers. They could be, I am going to get you this product for this price, so you can already create your market before you have the product with you. Right? So there's so many advantages. So as an economist, and also as an economist of the relatively poor and unorganized sector, I have no reasons to believe that organized retail is going to adversely affect the consumer, number one.
Okay.
And I also I do not believe that organized retail is going to eliminate the knookered shops or eliminate the informal trader.
Why do you say? Can you give?
What does it eliminate is, as I told earlier, a kind of FDI in retail means we already have a market available. Sante in Canada, Shanty, these kind of markets. So now you are covering that up, you are cleaning that up, and you are systematically creating a market there so that you increase the shelf life of products, etc., etc. By doing that, you are reducing wastage. Up to 30% of the produce which is wasted is saved, and because of that, the prices will come down. So actually, in the organized sector retail market, retail and also wholesale, the cost of the product will be about 10% cheaper than your neighborhood fellow. So if the neighborhood retailer, he goes to a Walmart or Metro type of or Reliance Fresh type of markets and purchase them in bulk, actually they are going to make more profit than what they are doing now. So in that sense, the unorganized retailer will get connected to the organized market. So that is one way of getting organized. So this is the benefit for the small retailer. Please take my word for it. It is not going to adversely affect you because you know the price on which you are buying. So you can always check with your neighborhood store, which is not going to vanish tomorrow. It is going to stay. So you can compare prices and you can source it. So it will give you an additional choice as to where to source it. Now the most important benefit for the small retailer is you can go and negotiate with the organized market fellow a credit system.
Okay.
At the moment, the credit system is there, but highly exploitative. Rate of interest is too far high.
Right.
But in case of organized market, you can go and negotiate your credit with a very transparent markup, 2%, 1%, as opposed to 10%, 15%, which could be the case in the local market today.
Yes, yeah.
So there are a lot of hidden benefits which will help a shrewd small retailer.
But what about consumers? Why would the consumer go to a Nukkad shop if they can get the cheaper at the wholesale, for example, or retail?
So they don't have to go to the Nukkad shop because if the Nukkad shop doesn't sell a product which is of good quality, for example, mixing milk with something useless, mixing stones in rice, these kind of things. If they give the real good product, they should be in business. Otherwise, they should not be in business. So I don't respect a tradesman who cheats in your product. So that is not the India in a business I want to see. So I have no respect to that businessman who cheats consumers, right? But if there is a real businessman who gives good product for the great quality, he is going to learn a lot of new things, how to do that through this organized system. So it helps him improve his credibility, trust in the consumers, and actually it is going to benefit him indirectly.
So during the debates, some political parties made the issue that it's going to affect Muslims. What is your opinion on that?
No, it is debate and also media. I was aghast to read an article in Business Line that the organized retail FDI is going to affect Muslims adversely. Why was that article isolating Muslim community? Because Muslim community is only about 20-25% of the retail shops, whereas 80% of retail shops are still with the Hindu community. So it was motivated article. So In fact, I would argue and I would urge the Muslim community retailers to believe that the investment, FDI investment, even Walmart or any other new markets which are going to come, they are going to benefit the Muslim retailers more than others. You know why? Because the relative share of the Muslims in retail is more than the Hindu community in terms of percentages.
Right.
For example, Muslims are 15% in India, but in retail they are 25%.
Right.
So that 10% relatively higher impact will be there among the Muslim community as a whole. So please don't be afraid of the retail. The retail is going to help you to improve your products because you will not be exploited by the middleman. So now today you are being exploited by the middleman, and because middleman is not organized, not registered, he is not answerable. Whereas because these new markets will be registered and there will be regulations for it, they cannot cheat you. So that is the benefit which you get from linking with these organized markets. Now, I also heard that one of the BJP national leader made a statement in the parliament that organized retail is going to affect Muslims adversely. अरे भी ये नया प्यार मोहब्बत कब से शुरू हो गया BJP? So actually you are using the Muslims as a cannon fodder to again play your identity politics. Please don't do this kind of games. That doesn't fit you as a nationalist. I am also a nationalist. So you are also a nationalist. But don't play dirty games being a nationalist leader. So that will be my message to the BJP people.
Okay, thank you so much.